Hello, and welcome to Brownie Ponders, in which I, an actual brownie, ponder over matters of philosophy, politics, psychology, sociology, and so on. Today, we're not ridiculing society's issues. Instead, we're going to talk about Studio Ghibli. For those of you who don't know, Studio Ghibli is an animation film studio headquartered in Kogane, Tokyo, Japan. The studio is well known in particular for its full-length feature films animated by Hayao Miyazaki, a co-founder of Studio Ghibli. What makes his films stand out is their whimsical, nostalgic, and quaint atmospheres unique to Studio Ghibli. Let's break this breathtaking appeal down further, but before we get started, I will reiterate that all points expressed over the course of this video are a product of my personal opinions, perspectives, and perceptions. Don't treat it as fact because it isn't. As previously mentioned, Hayao Miyazaki's films are particularly iconic. You can't talk about Studio Ghibli's genius without talking about Miyazaki. Miyazaki was born on January 5, 1941 in Tokyo's Bunkyo ward. Some of Miyazaki's earliest and most prominent memories are of bombed-out cities and evacuations, his early life having been entrenched in the terror of World War II. These memories have had a profound effect on Miyazaki's films, which often have undercurrents of anti-war and pacifistic sentiments. Miyazaki's colleagues have disclosed that he is a particular disciplined artist. He is fanatical about animation quality, dedicating ample time to each frame and scene. In fact, he's so particular about quality that he has completed only 36 minutes of his ambitious new project, How Do You Live, over the span of 3 years. To put that into perspective, it takes 4 to 7 years to complete a 90-minute animated movie. If Miyazaki and his team continue at the rate that they're going, it'll take them a total of 9 years to complete this project, and that's assuming the movie stays within a 90-minute frame and that no scenes cause a delay. It is because of this tirelessness and the effort of producing quality cinematography that renders Miyazaki such a pivotal part of Studio Ghibli's appeal. Each movie is designed with an objective in mind, whether that is to scare, delight, unnerve, excite, enchant, anger, or sadden viewers. Studio Ghibli videos have a unique and uncommon effect. Ghibli films are gentle and relaxing, with plots and devices that engage but relax at the same time. This is largely due to something called plot fluidity. Fluid plots are plots that aren't rigid. This fluidity isn't very common if you think about it. Most movies, even low brainpower ones such as Captain Underpants or Shrek, have a defined plot that viewers would be hard-pressed to become distracted from. But Ghibli films manage to lose you in the visuals and delicate colors, the enchanting scenery, the original characters, and the intricate details and meticulous care put into each scene. This is achieved by reducing the storyline to somewhat of a background element. For example, Howl's Moving Castle is based off of Diana Wynne Jones' 1986 fantasy novel of the same name. In spite of this, many fans of both the novel and movie have noted that there aren't actually a huge amount of parallels between the two pieces of art. Jones' novel is more saturated with action, and the plot is overarching. Meanwhile, the movie focuses more upon gentle character development, magnificent and whimsical world building, and meaningful bonds and messages. This has rendered the novel and the movie rarely associated, as they're fairly distinct and separate works of art. Miyazaki has written great characters, but I would like to place special emphasis upon his female characters, which in my opinion are written masterfully. Miyazaki has said many times that he likes to write strong female characters, and he's followed through with this by writing some of the most dynamic and authentic female characters that I've ever encountered. It's common, especially in modern days, for strong female characters to feel a bit forced. Think, Velma. I'm not saying there's no well-written strong female characters out there, but I am saying they're getting harder and harder to find. For some reason, many writers are under the impression that if they apply all the unlikable characteristics of a nasty male character to a female character, then she becomes strong, bold, and likable. The thing is, if we didn't like those traits in a male character, we will continue to dislike them in a female one. But returning from my rant, Miyazaki knows how to write a strong person, and this is because he allows them to be vulnerable. In fact, these vulnerabilities are vital to the strength of his characters. They achieve strength through their vulnerability, and this feels all the more authentic. Take Chido from Spirited Away. She's definitely shaken by the bizarre turn of events that land her in indentured servitude to Yubaba, but she overcomes this fear. She supports others and allows herself to be supported in turn. Miyazaki's villains are also interesting, in that he doesn't typically make anyone evil just for the heck of being evil. Honestly, it feels weird calling them villains because they don't ever feel like villains by the end of each film. It's characteristic of these kinds of characters to have a change of heart towards the end of his films, though they may maintain a certain gruffness for comedic effect. I could go on for days about Ghibli animation. I've said it before and I'll say it till the day I die. The fluidity of animation is everything. I've always hated when I'm watching an animated scene and the choppy, awkward animation hampers the seamless enjoyment that all animators work tirelessly to achieve. And it's absolutely no one's fault that my standards are this unrealistic except Studio Ghibli. Everything glides and billows in Studio Ghibli. Clothes are imbibed with breeze so that they appear almost pillowy, and every small detail in the background is subject to the conventions of the same breeze. Water ripples and flows, crashing through babbling brooks and settling in tranquil pools, and Ghibli food is wonderful all on its own. So much tireless detail goes into each element of a Ghibli scene, everything is meticulously focused upon so that no one can sit back and say, ha, they forgot about that. There's nothing to criticize because before any viewer lays eyes upon it, the animation team has pored over every minute detail. The Ghibli art style is quite literally baby-proofed. Edges are softened, gravity ever so slightly suspended so that when things fall, they kind of float to the ground. Faces are soft and round, eyes warm and welcoming, unless you're that weird witch guy from Tales of the Earthsea. This overall harmlessness makes the few characters that are designed in such a way that is deliberately unpleasant, the Wicked Witch of the Waste for example, seem doubly disturbing and gross. Just like Tim Burton used a distinct palette of macabre solemn tones, Ghibli has its own distinct palette that I can only describe as rich and diverse. Rich tones of pink, green, blue, and yellow softened and bathed by golden hues, these are the colors that I associate with Ghibli worlds. These colors are never outrageous or overwhelming. They're always softened yet rich enough to be considered pastel, yet not bright enough to be considered gaudy or childish. The Ghibli palette is colored like dreams and childhood memories. Concerning character design, Ghibli characters are typically quite plain, at least in comparison to the, shall we say, interesting design conventions of many other anime characters. Some Ghibli characters are a bit flamboyant, such as Hal, but usually this flamboyancy is deliberate, in indicating some character traits, such as Hal's vanity and ostentatiousness towards the beginning of the film. Main characters in particular are kept simple in design. I personally feel that this is because they're meant to embody some degree of realism and relatability. Through these very ordinary characters, and ordinary viewers transported right into a fantastical, whimsical, impossible realm. And without a doubt, Ghibli's world building is the most iconic of its artistic trademarks. Ghibli worlds are designed to seem boundless and intricate, fantastical and peacefully chaotic. Cramped hallways and winding streets, cozy bedrooms and enchanted forests, mushrooms and gardens, rivers and rickety old bicycles, old temples and crumbling stone walls. Each teacup, vase, and bedspread are designed to seem unique, separate pieces of art in a larger collection that provides that serene, effortless disorganization that most associate with Ghibli realms. I love deep topics, and it's very hard to address deep topics without making the viewer feel dirty or as if they can't watch it with a child or their grandparents. What's amazing about Ghibli movies is that they manage to strike a balance between profound and very realistic issues while avoiding slipping into perversity. Graveyard of Fireflies is a great example of this. The horrors of Japan torn apart and gutted by the Second World War are portrayed in such a way that is sobering, harrowing, and quite frankly heartbreaking in this Ghibli movie, and yet you wouldn't feel afraid to show it to your younger siblings or your parents. The Wind Rises is also a great example, another one of Ghibli's rare films based entirely in reality. This film is a fictional biography detailing the life of Jiro Horikoshi, a prolific Japanese engineer who designed many fighter aircraft during World War II, including the infamous Mitsubishi A5M and its successor, the Mitsubishi A6M0. Being biographical in nature, the film is forced to deal with real-life topics such as love, loss, grief, geopolitical conflict, and yet it does so in a way that is graceful and whimsical, yet respectful of the real individuals it aims to portray and fully appreciative of their life experiences. This is a medium that is hard to strike and that I feel Studio Ghibli has shown time and time again that they are capable of striking. I think anyone who's watched a Studio Ghibli movie would agree that there's something mesmerizing about them, whether that be the fluid animation, heartwarming stories, or the delightful childishness of talking cats and kid shenanigans with an apparitional bear bunny cat. I think the best way to describe Studio Ghibli's appeal is with the Welsh word hiraeth, which describes a feeling of nostalgia or yearning for a place you've never been. Thanks for taking the time to hear me out. One of my hot topics is that Disney is the poor man's Studio Ghibli. Take your blatant hostility to the comment section if you please. Also, let me know what your favorite Ghibli movie is and why. My personal favorite is Howl's Moving Castle because of the fantastical world building and because of the amazing character development. That's all for now. Have a great day.